Hi. So welcome to Commitment, Creating Meaning Through Action. That you're all here tells me you're interested in this. Yes?
Yes.
Have any of you ever had issues with commitment? So how many of you have not done a wing seminar yet? Awesome. Great. Welcome. The rest of you don't count. I'm kidding. I want to thank all of you grads for being really great advocates. So we do these evenings to learn, to have a really good time, and to reconnect with people that are kind of on the same journey of self-discovery and making conscious choices in that. And it's a delight to welcome new people to that arena. I think curiosity is one of the greatest aspects of being a human being, you know, that we get to explore so many different things. So what do we do here? I could ask the grads that. They'd say we do long hours here. But what we do here is assist people to move toward what they really want in their life instead of being stuck by limitations. And to learn skills and abilities to go forward instead of pull back. How many of you know the hold back trick? Resistance, fear, you know, afraid of being trapped. Any of you ever, if I make a decision, I could be stuck with that thing forever, and what can happen? You know, what am I going to miss? So that's a big deal in the whole realm of commitment, the fear of being trapped. If I sign on, I'm going to miss a lot. And I hope by the end of the evening you'll see it in a very different light. Because I truly believe knowing how to commit to what you really want is our ticket to freedom and to incredible results in our life. So to transform that view, transform that belief, pretty awesome. Okay? I think so. We'll see about you. So I use quotes in the seminar to invite in other people who agree with me. So does anybody know, nobody can tell me how to pronounce his last name correctly.
Coelho.
Coelho? I mean, just the way it's spelled?
Yeah.
I thought it had some fancy twist. Okay. This is one of my favorite quotes, and I have many, but this is like at the top of my list right now. Ever since your goal found out that you were traveling toward it, it has been running to meet you. Is that inspiring or what? So I truly believe that what we want is waiting for us. It's out there. But it can't come to us until we start toward it, until we commit, until we align our intentions and our actions. When we open the door, those possibilities can flow in, but if we keep the door shut, they just sit and wait. How many of you know what waiting is like? It's so enlivening. Whoa. Jean-Paul Sartre. Commitment is an act, not a word. How many of you sometimes have used the word commitment, but you didn't do anything about it? You know? So for a commitment to be real, it needs to be action, not just words. Zig Ziglar, it was character that got us out of bed. Commitment that moved us into action, and discipline that enabled us to follow through. Isn't that a great quote? How many of you look at that very first part? It was character to get us out of bed. Have many of you just wanted to pull the covers over and hope the day would go by? You know, let me get away from this instead of getting out of bed, going for that walk, going for that run, doing that yoga, whatever it is you do in the morning to be inspired and be present. Even when you're not saying, oh yay. And there's a part of you that goes, you know, it'd be easier the other way. Yet, if you don't do it, how do you feel? Then you've got self-judgment going on. And that is not a fun way to lead a day of your life in self-criticism. And another one, Paulo Coelho, right? Freedom is not the absence of commitments. And how many of you have thought that? That freedom means I don't commit. I just am a free agent floating around. No, he's saying, But the ability to choose and commit myself to what is best for me, that is freedom. That is freedom. How many of you would like more freedom in your life? So I think that our lives really come into alignment, and we talk about it in the Personal Effectiveness Seminar. I call it the underlying simplicity. When we know how to be self-loving, self-respecting, and we make conscious choices. Pretty powerful foundation from which to live. When I'm self-loving, I can love you. When I'm self-respecting, I can respect you. When I know how to make conscious choices, I can support you in that, instead of using my power to overcome you or manipulate you in some way. I encourage those very same things inside of you. Great foundation. So, commitment to myself is a lot easier when I'm self-loving, self-respecting, and making conscious choices. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, commitment is actually kind of a tricky thing to talk about because it takes time to manifest, doesn't it? It takes time and persistence to manifest commitment in our lives. We do it step by step, but sometimes it takes a long time for that seed to flower and for us to see the bloom. Yes? And how many have you gotten impatient or tired of waiting? So then you go off on another course, and what if it was just 5 more choices that you got to the fruit? 5 more times of saying yes to that commitment, that it actually had the time to bear the fruit. So there's that kind of thing of faith in the process as well as trust in ourselves. So we're going to start with some definitions so we're all on the same page. And I'm hoping I remember where I wrote these. So commitment means doing or performing something. And I follow through. I perform. The act of pledging or engaging oneself. Pledging. Isn't that a great word? You know, a pledge or a promise, a decisive moral choice that involves a person in a definite course of action. I love that word. Consignment as to a prison. How many of you felt that before? Or confinement to a mental institution or hospital. These are all definitions of commitment. Yes? So, being committed can be seen as a way of being in the world, of really doing what is that you love, a sense of freedom and follow through, or the other one is it can feel like a prison, that fear of being trapped. How many of you know you go in and out of that? That it's not a consistent thing, right? And how many of you know there are different areas of your life where it's easier to commit than to others? Okay. So let's hear some areas that are easy for you to commit in. What areas?
I love dancing, so I commit to practicing that regularly.
Dancing, because you love it.
Yes.
Okay. What else? Areas in your life where it's easy to commit.
Career, your job.
Your career or your job. So what is it about your career or your job that makes it easy to commit?
I like to go to it and I help people, and it's actually my world.
So you love your work.
I love it.
It's not just a paycheck.
Right.
Okay. Somebody who saw Nicole, yeah?
Being a mother.
Being a mom. Yeah. That's a good one to love, if you are one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Have there been trying moments in being a mom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And when you care that much, you do what needs to be done. Was something over here? Yeah.
I was gonna say family too, and my husband, easy, not always conscious, but.
Not always conscious. So some people see commitment as confinement to boredom. You know, it's always going to be the same. My relationship will never change if I'm, if I really commit and I don't go out with other people. My sex life will never improve. I'm like, I said that, didn't I? But some people get really weirded out about that. I'm only going to have sex with one person in my whole life. So a lot of people try drugs, right? Check it out. How many of you have done that route? That will admit to it. Yeah, we find out we're human, right? So, how many of you have noticed that very often people who are really committed don't complain much? They don't complain about their work because they love it. They don't complain about being a mom because they're really committed and they love it. They love dancing, so they'll practice and not complain about dancing. So the more committed we are, the more we care about something, the less we complain. So how many of you know there are places in your life where you've been on the sidelines watching other people do what you want to do, but you're not doing it? Fear of commitment, fear of jumping in, looking foolish, whatever. And so when you're not doing what you love to do, it's pretty easy to complain and find fault in what's going on outside. I remember when I was a kid having that thought pattern, well, I could do that. Well, I could do that too, if I wanted to. I could do that too. I could be president if I wanted to. But, building up my own sense of self, comparing myself to other people, and actually in a way putting them down, because, I could do it if I wanted to. Can any of you relate to that one? Yeah. Putting somebody down that's doing it, criticizing people that are actually doing something you want to do but you're afraid to do. It's sad. Instead of really going, wow, look at her dance. I want to watch her moves. I want to learn how to dance that way too. So, how often have you felt like you were standing on the sidelines? Watching things go by, but you weren't really committed to jumping in. I know I've been there. And I want you to know something. I love talking about this because once you get it, life is a piece of cake. That doesn't mean it doesn't have lumps in it. Because life is like that. But when you get really clear about what you want to commit to and jump into it, you'll be amazed at the changes in your life and in you. Your character, your ability to self-discipline yourself when you're clear on your commitments. Yeah. I did that this morning. I woke up and thought, it's dark. Do I really want to walk today? And I thought, yeah, I really do. But I thought about not going. And I got on the road with my headlamp. And it was awesome. I saw deer and all this kind of stuff. So I think we're challenged all the time with whether or not we're going to follow through and fully commit. How about you? It's a moment by moment, choice by choice process. And if you think you commit once and it's a done deal, you're going to be in trouble. Especially if it's marriage. A relationship. Let's see. I think this other. So the other words in our title are meaning and action. What is intended to be or actually is expressed or indicated. The end, the purpose, the importance or significance of something. The intention. How many of you know you long for more meaning in your life? Do you think you're going to have meaning in your life without commitment? Not going to happen. It also is not going to happen if you don't know what you want. You know, the importance, the intention, the purpose. Those are all about words about caring about something. To act or action, the doing of a thing, a deed. A state of real existence instead of possibility. Now look at that last definition. A state of real existence instead of possibility. Do any of you spend a lot of time in your head? You know, wondering how it's going to work out. You know, if I do this, I do that, and all of that, I'm not doing anything. I'm just thinking about it. That is not action. You know, thinking about things in the closet is not moving you any closer to your outcome than you could be. Do we have a chair? Okay. So commitment starts with being fully engaged in two things. Yourself and the truth. So why it's about yourself is for you to know what you love, what you want to be engaged in, the outcomes that you really want to create in your life. And that is going to need you to be really open, me, really open to what the truth is. How many of you know how to put the blinders on? How many of you stayed in a relationship longer than you should have? That's because we put our blinders on and didn't really want to see the truth. Because if I really see the truth, I might need to what? To do something about it. So to be fully engaged with self and to be really, really curious, what is my truth and what is the truth I'm existing in, are a foundation piece for commitment. So, meaning. How many of you have had a sense or thought that life is meaningless? You watch the Congress. You know, you watch the wars, you watch all that stuff. And I really believe that when I'm out of integrity with myself, I make a commitment and I break it, what I do is make my word meaningless. I told myself, this is what I'm going to do. I don't do it. I invalidate my word, and I make my word meaningless. That's how we lose it in our lives. It's pretty simple and pragmatic, you know. People seeking meaning out there instead of realizing, wow, I'm the one who decides what's important to me, not you. You know? So, how many of you have heard the frame of reference, my word is my bond? Yeah, a long time ago. Right? Not many people are talking that way now, and it's sad. But for you to know, your word is your bond. When you commit, that you follow through. That's how we build meaning. What you talked about were results and experiences, right? So what were some of them? You wrote down 10. What was I heard buying a house? I overheard. I've got what you call long ears. Yeah.
Some kind of daily spiritual practice.
Okay, what else?
Getting married.
What's that?
Getting married.
Losing 65 pounds.
Oh.
More.
Listened to an angel, and that I took a chance to learn about me at Wings. Somebody really led me to Wings.
Risk. Yeah. you trusted someone? What else?
I walked a marathon.
Great, what else?
You came here tonight?
Forgiving someone?
Raised 2 teenagers without killing them or eating them.
Without eating them?
Eating them, yeah.
Yes.
Quit smoking?
Yay. You'll be here a lot longer. What else?
For my drug addiction.
Landscaping project this summer,
What was that?
large landscaping project this summer.
Okay,
With my drug addiction.
so drug-free. Thank you. Couple more.
I heard somebody say I came here tonight.
Yoga.
Oh. Okay, so how many of you are like graduated from college?
Gardening.
Moved out of state?
No.
Yielding in my relationship.
Yielding? It's such a great word, yielding. Hard one to do.
Bought stocks.
What was that?
Bought stocks.
Lots stuff.
That's up there, it took a risk.
What's his name? Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
You know, talking about the best time to buy is when everybody else is running. You know? Okay, so these are results that came out of the room just now, and there's probably people you need more money, you've written a poem, you know, all sorts of stuff. Well, these are results that people want. Have kids, be happy, be educated, love their work, career, whatever. But a lot of people live with their reasons and excuses and having what they want. How many of you know people that complain a lot? Okay. So what are some of the reasons and excuses for not buying a house?
Money.
What else? What are reasons for stuff? Getting married.
Not enough time.
Clear commitment.
Great.
Don't want to get screwed.
So this is the big guy of every reason and excuse. And the other will be victim or blame,
Might fail.
fear of failure.
Too much work.
It's too hard. You know? Some people would rather live with their reasons and excuses than having the results that they really want in their life. And how many of you know you've dipped in and out of that? Okay. So the key is knowing what you love and committing to it. Okay? So when you were going through, how many of you know you're afraid of committing a relationship? Okay. So what do you think you're more committed to than being in a relationship? You are committed to something. You're afraid of being committed in a relationship. What do you think you're more committed to?
Being safe.
It's called autonomy. Yeah. I'm committed to autonomy. I'm committed to being me and not letting the wall down. So you are committed to something, it's just not the thing that you're thinking you want, you know? So you're kind of messing with their heads. So I found this great quote today. It just, I love it. When women hold off from marrying, now this is man-woman relationships, so I didn't write this. When women hold off from marrying men, we call it independence. When men hold off from marrying women, we call it fear of commitment. Isn't that great? I wrote it.
There isn't a slant on that for one gender over the other, is there?
Well, yeah, it is. That's why I think it's really fun.
So you would
Okay.
think, you would think that was funny, and I may not.
I know, that's okay. That's what humor is. So, okay, so who knows they're afraid of making a commitment in a relationship? Who's good? Okay, Daryl. You're afraid of making a commitment in a relationship. All right. So the good witch Glinda comes down. All right, and she looks you right in the eye and says, Daryl, your soulmate is 5 relationships away. Your soulmate is 5 relationships away. What would you do, Daryl?
Give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You're going to be in a relationship. It won't last long, but you're number 1. You would take the risk. You would take the risk because you have a guarantee.
I would sign up for Match.com tonight.
So what we pay attention determines what we miss. You know, if we're paying attention to our fear, we miss all the places where we're really capable and where we can have what we want. So, how many of you know getting honest with yourself? That was delightful. That getting honest with yourself, really honest, is kind of scary. Okay? I think what's really scary is not getting honest with myself. Because we're walking around in a state of denial. We've got our blinders on. We're not really seeing what is right in front of us. Okay? How many of you know, well, not personally, know of David White, the poet? He's awesome. Another one of his great quotes, your life is at stake. The worst thing you could do is live out someone else's life, thinking it was your own. We can be walking around in a state of denial and doing what we're supposed to do instead of what we really want to do. We're playing it by cultural terms, by family of origin. You know, mom wanted me to do this, dad wanted me to do that, and we miss our own very precious and powerful life. So, how do we decide what we want?
Experiment, try new things out.
Experiment. Yeah, what else?
You weigh the pros and cons, the good, the bad.
Weigh the pros and cons. How do we decide what we want?
By finding out what you don't want.
I mean, a lot of people do it. I don't want that, I don't want that. What did bump into? Oh, I just want that. You know, so we can...
Bad experiences.
Okay, what else?
Doing what makes you happy.
Doing what makes me happy is going to help
What
you.
makes me happy.
Doing what makes me happy. Okay. I think, I mean, you're all right, because, you know, those are all needs, but knowing what I love and what's important to me and knowing what my deepest values are is where my compass is. You know, if I'm measuring the pros and cons of something rather than how compelling it is to me, you know, how invested I am heart-wise in something, it's going to be a lot harder to make the decision. So it'd be interesting to look at how you're doing the pros and cons of those, what were the ones, what is the word, nonprofits, right? How are you measuring it instead of what your passion really is. Yeah? So our deepest values. Do values change? Okay. one of the things I really noticed as my parents aged was how their values changed. Now, their deep, abiding values to kindness, forgiveness, generosity, those didn't change. But their concerns about their health and well-being changed. You know, what kind of impact their lives were going to make. You know, when they're in their 40s, they thought they had forever, you know, and as they got older. So I think your deep abiding values stay the same, but your interaction with your culture and your age, values do change. We have a whole group of young people that really don't value work. You know, what are they called? Generation X or the 20-somethings or whatever?
Generation Y.
Generation Y now.
Millennial.
And not knowing what those values are, what do they value, instead of what is it me, I'm older than you are. My values, how do they conflict, and where do we find common ground is the way we can interact and create a collaborative environment in the workplace or at home or whatever. Right? So know what you value and how your values are changing. Circumstances, age, health, finances, the state of your relationship are all things that, you know, can impact what you value. You might have really valued collaboration when you got married, and then later on you're really valuing your freedom. Because it's not working. You know what I mean? So, commitment creating meaning through action. Be aligned with your commitments. Microscopically honest with yourself about what you want. So this is about passion and values. Take action. Any action, anything different than you're doing now that goes toward that. That closet thing, that in the head thing is not working. You do not learn the piano up in your head. You don't learn to ride a bike, you know, I mean, you learn it by doing it. Learn from the outcomes of your action. Now, I use the word outcomes on purpose. Most people say learn from your mistakes. Yeah? Learn from your outcomes. There's a great statement, it's a presupposition in neuro-linguistic programming. There is no failure, only feedback that what you're doing is not working. There's no such thing as failure. It's just not working. Now that's a lot better way to look at it, don't you think? And I can learn from how things are not working and do something different. Accept where you are as a means of getting where you want to go and how you want to be. It's a step in that direction. How many of you have made yourself wrong for where you are because you thought you should be somewhere else? Where you are is a step in that direction. You know, because you're clear, you take another step instead of making yourself wrong. I want to thank you all for coming and probably doing more exploratory work on you than you're used to doing. You've written about things that you might not even talk about. You've shared them with other people. And perhaps learned a thing about yourself and a thing about that person. And perhaps experienced a connection as a result. So that's part of what we do at Wings. We help you be an explorer of your own belief system, your values, your ethics, your dreamings, and to realize that we're in communion with other people. You know, it's amazing to watch what happens in the 4 days of the Personal Effectiveness Seminar. And I used to ask, what was the most important thing you learned about yourself in the seminar? And I thought, you know what? I think people learn a lot more than about themselves. They learn about human beings. And what's the most important thing you learned about others? And that's like, wow, I didn't know I could trust people. I didn't know everybody is as creative as they are. I didn't know, I didn't know, because we're so isolated in our little box. And very often that box is fear-induced, by our past. So the work we do has assisted over 35,000 people change their lives. I get the best mail, M-A-I-L. And it's all about things that you do as a result of coming and doing the work in the personal effectiveness seminar going on. So we assist people to get clear about what they want in their lives, to commit to it, to take action persistently, and then to create meaning and fulfillment in their lives the way they want to. Where when they talk about what they do or experiences, they light up instead of coming up with reasons about why they don't have fulfillment. It's very powerful. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like it. There's always more. I think learning is one of our greatest gifts. So, those of you who are guests this evening that haven't done the seminar, we got a little coupon. It's not really a little coupon. It's a discount coupon for the PBS, and I hope you jump in and do it. How many of you grads would say do it?
Yes.
Do it. Okay. So, we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.